Hey, what's up everyone? Tachi here. So today's Basic 101 guide is going to be in regards to turn order. So if you guys have seen my support video, you guys already kind of guessed how turn order works, but this is just an extra just in case you guys don't quite understand how it works. So the idea behind turn order is basically that when it's your turn and mages are charging up, they don't pass the turn over to the opponent. They pass it over to someone else, and this continues until someone that attacks goes, whether that be a warrior or a defender. So I'm going to show you a very quick example of how that works. So the basic idea is that, for example, if you were to do something like this, right, what's going to happen is that your Ceres is going to go, then your Mary is going to go, and then Leto is going to go, and once he's done attacking, the enemy team will get their turn. However, if you were to, for example, put it on the mage first, you could do all of your mages with your supports, since none of them are attacking round one, then you could chain it into someone that does damage. So what will happen here, this is PvE, so they should get priority, but what will happen here is that my support will go into my two mages, then Leto will go, enemy team will go, then I'll go again, my Mamo is gonna go, then they'll go, and then Seer will go, and then Seer will go last into them, and then they'll go their last turn. So you should see that here. Yeah, as you can see, all four, Leto, then they go, then Mamo goes, they go, and then Seer goes, and then they get their last three. So as you can see, that's how turn order works. Do keep in mind like who is gonna go after you, and also keep in mind round two. Keep in mind after round two, your mages will attack on the second round, or every second round to be exact. From then on, you have to keep in mind turn orders in such scenarios where you might have had the perfect rotation for round one, but then on round two, your mage attacking completely messes it up. Do keep things like that in mind when you're playing arena. Another way you could make use of this tactic, for example, let's say that's John. John is a character, it's a 4-star support who gives an ally taunt. So a lot of people make use of this by, for example, placing John and then placing a defender up in the top, just leaving them there by themselves, and then filling up the rest of their team. For example, let's just continue with this, and then they'll switch up the turn order. They'll basically go John, Mamo, and then they'll just go their normal comp. You can go something like that, or you could swap that, and then that's it. And then the basic gist of this kind of comp would basically be that for the first 8 turns or so, I believe it's an 8-turn taunt at early ranks, the enemy team will be focused on Mamineer. And the good thing about having this comp like this with the tank on the top that's not taunted is that, typically speaking, not always, but typically, top lane is where people place their DPS. So even if they have an ignore taunt unit like Leto, they're going to hit Mamineer anyways. So, and on top of that, if I'm not mistaken, John also gives reduced damage with his buff. I'm not sure if that's at default or at later pluses, but you'll find out if you look him up in the codex. But either way, this is a basic example of something else that you can do to abuse turn order, because now that you pass it off, the defender is going to attack on the second turn of your turn. I know, weird wording, that's just what it is. When your Mamo attacks, most likely the bulk of their team will attack while your Mamineer still has taunt up. So it makes this kind of combination very useful. I wouldn't use this exact lineage, for example, just because, you know, Britain is still a thing, at least for now. But you could play with it. You could move this back here, you could move this back here. This is just an example of a tactic that you could apply, making use of turn order. Either way, that is the end of this video. If you guys enjoyed this video, feel free to like. If you think you know someone that can make use of this information, feel free to share the video. I know that this video is quite similar to the support one, just because that's kind of how the support chaining and turn orders just work. They're kind of almost the same thing when you try to explain it. But I felt that maybe some people still didn't quite understand how turn orders work. And I'll give a TLDR. The basic gist of turn orders is that when anything attacks, whether it's a defender, a mage on round 2, 4, 6, etc., or a warrior, you will give up the turn to the enemy, and then they'll go, and then when they attack, you go. That is just the basic gist of how turn order works. Supports and mages, when they're charging their spells on round 1, 3, 5, 7, etc., those do not consume turns, so you will continue on with your action until you attack. Either way, like I said, I'm out guys. Have a nice day.